Emily Carter never thought she'd come back to Lake Haven. Not after everything. But time has a strange way of pulling us back to the places we once tried to forget. Her mother's passing was the reason on paper, but deep down, Emily knew it wasn't just about grief. It was about unfinished business, about echoes from the past that never fully faded. 10 years had passed since she left this small lakeside town in upstate New York. Trading quiet streets and familiar faces for the noise of Seattle, she had built a life there, successful, steady, and safe. But even with all she had built, something always felt missing as her car rolled down the familiar gravel path leading to the old family cottage. Emily felt her chest tighten. The lake shimmered under the early summer sun, just as she remembered. The breeze still carried the scent of pine and water. Everything looked the same, but she was different, wiser, stronger, or so she told herself. But that illusion shattered the moment she saw him, Aaron Blake. He stood at the edge of the dock, his hands in his pockets, head tilted as if lost in thought. Time had added definition to his features, his jaw sharper, shoulders broader, but his eyes, they were exactly the same, blue-gray like a summer storm. When those eyes met hers, the years between them collapsed in an instant. Her breath caught, her heart stuttered. He didn't smile right away, just stared, as if unsure whether she was real or a memory come to life. "You came back," he said, voice rough like gravel and warmth. "Just for a few days," she replied, looking away toward the lake, a lie she told without flinching. She hadn't seen him since the night he left, no note, no goodbye. He had taken a job offer in Chicago, chasing dreams that didn't include her, and left her in the ruins of what they had built together. And, yet, here he was again, standing just a few feet away, looking at her like she still meant something. There was a pull between them, quiet, heavy, and undeniable. Her body tensed, warning her to keep a safe distance, to remember the heartbreak, the nights she cried into her pillow. But her heart had other plans. It recognized him. Not as the man who left, but as the man who once held her when her world fell apart, who kissed her like she was the only thing that mattered. They stood in silence. The lake lapping gently at the shore, birds calling from the trees. The air was thick with words unsaid. She could feel it the way her body stiffened with old pain, and yet, somewhere deep in her chest, something warm stirred. Longing, memory. That dangerous kind of hope. He didn't reach for her. She didn't move toward him. But something passed between them, a moment, soft and full of meaning. "I'm sorry about your mom," he finally said, voice softer now. "Thanks," she answered, barely above a whisper. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. Not even close. As she walked away, heart pounding, she felt his gaze on her back. And for the first time in years, her steps felt unsure. Her body screamed, "Stop. Stay guarded. Don't make the same mistake twice." But beneath all the fear and old wounds, her heart whispered something else, something quiet but persistent. He's still the one. And in that moment, Emily Carter knew her return to Lake Haven was no accident. It was the beginning of something unfinished, something that refused to let go. Emily couldn't sleep that night. The bed in her mother's old room felt unfamiliar now, even though she had spent most of her teenage summers curled up in it, dreaming of love, adventure, and a life far beyond Lake Haven. But now, all she could do was lie still, heart racing, mind flooded with thoughts of Aaron, his face, his voice, that unreadable look in his eyes. The air in the room felt heavy, as if it remembered all the tears she had once shed over him. She got up just after dawn and began wandering through the house, opening drawers, flipping through old photo albums, looking for something to ground her. In the kitchen, tucked beneath a stack of unpaid bills and faded recipe cards, she found an old Polaroid. Her and Aaron, both barefoot, covered in flecks of white paint, smiling like the world belonged to them. It was taken the summer they had tried fixing up the cottage together, painting walls and eating frozen pizza by the lake. She had forgotten about that photo, but the way he looked at her in it, she could never forget. Later that afternoon, she ran into him again, of all places, at the local grocery store. The bell over the door rang as she stepped in, and there he was, standing in front of the soup aisle, reading the labels like they held the answers to life. He looked up, startled, then smiled, hesitant, hopeful. "You still like spicy chili?" he asked, holding up a can like it was an offering. "You remember that?" she replied, surprised by the warmth in her voice. "I remember everything," he said quietly. They ended up talking outside in the parking lot, standing between two rows of cars under the soft hum of summer heat. It was awkward at first, too many years between them, Too many things unsaid. But slowly, their words softened. Their laughter returned. It wasn't like before. Not exactly. But there was a rhythm still there. Buried under the dust of time and heartbreak. He asked how life in Seattle was. She asked about his work in Chicago. They avoided the real questions, the ones that mattered, but still. Something passed between them, like an invisible thread pulling them closer with every shared glance. Then, as they started to say goodbye, Aaron stepped just a little too close. His fingers brushing against her arm in a way that made her body tense reflexively. A simple touch, but it sent a ripple through her. Her mind screamed at her to be careful. To walk away. She had rebuilt herself after him piece by piece. She wasn't that girl anymore, the one who waited for his calls, who sat on the porch for hours hoping to see his headlights in the dark. But her heart hadn't forgotten. It still recognized him, still beat just a little faster when he looked at her like she was a secret only he knew. Before she could say anything, he spoke. "Let me take you out for coffee. Just to talk." It was an innocent offer. Harmless on the surface. But they both knew it wasn't simple. It never had been with them. Emily hesitated. For a second, she considered saying yes. But instead, she said nothing, just turned and walked away, leaving him standing there with 2 cans of chili in his hands and something like regret in his eyes as she drove back toward the cottage. Gripping the wheel a little too tightly, her heart whispered what she wouldn't let herself say out loud. "You want to go? You always did," and even though her body begged her to let go of the past, to be strong, her heart kept whispering yes, and that terrified her more than anything. The rain started just after midnight, soft and steady against the cottage windows, as if the sky understood what Emily couldn't say out loud. Sleep had become impossible, her thoughts tangled in memories and what-ifs. She sat by the window, wrapped in her late mother's old quilt, watching the drops slide down the glass like tears she hadn't let herself cry. Every moment since seeing Aaron again had stirred something deep inside her, memories of long summer nights, whispered dreams, the way his arms used to feel around her. But alongside the warmth came the ache. The kind of pain that doesn't fade, just grows quieter with time. She remembered the way he had left, suddenly and without explanation, chasing his future in Chicago while she stood on the porch with nothing but silence in his place. He had taken her heart with him, and even after all these years, she wasn't sure if she had ever truly gotten it back. The next morning, she didn't plan on seeing him. She told herself she was just going for coffee, just to clear her mind. But when she walked into Haven Grounds, the town's tiny wood-paneled coffee shop, there he was sitting at the corner table, looking up as if he'd been waiting. Emily paused, uncertain. She could turn around, she should, but her feet betrayed her heart, carrying her forward. He stood as she approached, pulling out the chair across from him. No words yet, just the kind of look that speaks of old love and open wounds. When she finally spoke, her voice was low, but steady. "Why did you leave?" It wasn't angry. It wasn't bitter. It was honest, and full of all the years she had held the question inside. Aaron looked down for a moment, then back at her. "Because I thought I was doing the right thing," he said. "I wanted more for both of us. I didn't want to hold you back." Emily's eyes burned, not from anger, but from something deeper. "You didn't hold me back," she whispered. "You didn't hold me at all. You just left." The silence between them was heavy, filled with things too old and too raw to name. And then, softly, he reached into his coat and placed something on the table, her old poetry book, the one she thought she'd lost years ago. "I kept it," he said. "Moved with me every time. I read it more than I should admit." Her fingers touched the worn edges, and something in her chest cracked open. There was a time, she thought, they were going to last forever. She remembered Sunday mornings wrapped in his t-shirts, their talks about kids and road trips and growing old together. She remembered the way he made her feel seen, wanted, safe. And yet, he had broken all of that, and here he was again, sitting across from her, asking her heart to feel again. "I never stopped loving you, Em," he said, voice barely above a breath. "I just didn't know how to come back." Her throat tightened. The room blurred for a second. She wanted to hate him. She wanted to scream, to throw the book at him and walk away. But she couldn't, because the truth was, she hadn't stopped loving him either. Not fully, not where it counted, so she stood, every nerve in her body, screaming for control, and whispered, "Then why does it still hurt?" He didn't answer. Maybe there was no answer good enough. She turned to leave. He didn't stop her, but as she reached the door, his voice followed her. Soft and sure. Love doesn't always wait, Emily, but sometimes it finds a way back. She didn't look back. Not yet. But her heart was listening, and it was whispering, yes. The morning of her last day in Lake Haven came with a kind of stillness that felt almost sacred. The air was cool, the lake quiet, and Emily stood barefoot on the dock, letting the wood press gently into her skin as she stared out at the water. A part of her wanted to go back to Seattle, return to her tidy life with no loose ends, no open wounds, no Aaron Blake. But another part, the quieter and more stubborn part, didn't want to leave just yet. She had come here for closure, but the longer she stayed, the more she realized closure wasn't what her heart was searching for. It wanted truth, peace, maybe even a second chance. The wind picked up, and with it came the familiar sound of footsteps on the path behind her. She didn't need to turn around to know it was him. She felt him before he spoke, like a warmth pressing against her back, soft and steady. Aaron didn't say anything at first. He simply stood beside her, close enough to feel, but not touching. After a long pause, he spoke, his voice lower now, stripped of defenses. I know I don't deserve anything from you, he said. Not after how I left. But I had to see you before you go. I had to try, once. Emily kept her eyes on the water, afraid that if she looked at him, her heart might make promises her head wasn't ready for. Why now? She asked quietly. Why come back into my life just when I finally learned how to live without you? He reached into his coat again, this time pulling out something smaller, a worn charm bracelet, the one she had given him to keep something of hers when he first left for Chicago. She had forgotten all about it. But he hadn't, because I never lived without you, he said. I just pretended I did. Her eyes burned, but she refused to cry. Not yet. You broke me, she said, voice shaking. I gave you everything. You left when I needed you most. He nodded slowly. I know, and I've spent every day since trying to make peace with the man I was. But I still think about you every morning. Every night. I never loved anyone the way I loved you. I don't think I ever will. His words weren't dramatic. They weren't perfect. But they were honest, and that was what shook her the most. This wasn't a fairy tale. It was something real. Messy, painful, and unfinished. Emily turned to face him, searching his eyes, trying to see if the boy she once loved still lived behind them. He did, but he was also something more now, weathered by time, shaped by regret, humbled by love he never truly let go of. I don't know if I can trust you again, she said honestly. I don't know if I should. He stepped a little closer, not pushing, just waiting. I'm not asking for promises, he said. Just one day. One walk. One honest chance. She looked at him then, really looked. The man in front of her wasn't perfect, but neither was she. And somehow, after all these years, their broken edges still seemed to fit together. That evening, they walked through the town as the sun dipped low, casting golden light over everything. They didn't hold hands. They didn't kiss. But they laughed, quiet and real, the kind of laughter that only comes when two people have known both the magic and the heartbreak of each other. No promises. No promisers. No pressure, just the soft beginning of something they weren't ready to name. As the stars came out, Emily glanced at him beside her, his hands in his pockets, his shoulder brushing hers, and for the first time in years, her heart whispered something clear and steady. This could still be love. And this time, she didn't silence it.